some exciting news about an upcoming field trip that we're planning, and we hope that you guys can attend. So I'm going to hand it over to Cornell.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. This is my first time actually being here today, at least as a speaker. My name is Cornell Cross. I am the Associate Director for OCAS, which is the Oklahoma Center for the Advancement of Science and Technology. Now, I haven't actually talked about what we do for OCAS with you yet, but I would like that opportunity at some point. However, we are holding our once-a-year statewide event in Broken Arrow at NSU this year. It's called the Oklahoma Technology Showcase. Now, I know a couple of the people in the room have been there, but probably many of you have either not have heard of it or ever been to it. The showcase is OCAS's way of showing Oklahoma what technology is going on in the state. It is often that OCAS is seen as a flyover state or cowboys and teepees and things like that, but the truth is we are a high-tech, high-science state that a lot of people don't even know what we do here. And often when I go and do presentations, I tell people that the name of my presentation is "We Do That in Oklahoma." So this is our 4th year. This is the 2nd time we have done this in the Tulsa area. The last 2 years, we've had over 250 people come to the showcase. This year, we wanted to add something new. In an effort to try and make the showcase more inclusive of the entire spectrum of business, we have asked 1 Million Cups to actually do their morning presentation. It's on the 26th of August, which is a Wednesday, between 8 and 9 o'clock, and open the Oklahoma Technology Showcase with you guys. Picking 2 of your businesses in your group to introduce yourselves to our clients at the showcase. The showcase basically is going to be 6 or actually 7 of our companies that have received funding from us over the last few years. And they're going to be able to talk about who they are, what they do, and why. Why was that important? And it's a lot like what you do here every Wednesday, when you have your companies come up and talk about who they are, what they do, and why they do it, which is the reason why we believe that 1 Million Cups in the showcase had a natural synergy between them. So the day is pretty much going to start, hopefully, with you guys if you'd like to buy in. We really would like you there. You would start the day off with 2 of your companies, just like you do. And then at 9 o'clock, the showcase starts. That will go until noon. At noon, we will then go into our lunch, and this year, our keynote speaker is Google. And they're going to come and talk to us about what they are doing in Oklahoma over in Pryor. A lot of people know that they're there. Some people don't even know that Google is in Oklahoma. But if you haven't been to Pryor and to the Mid-American Industrial Park, if you go out there and see what they are doing, they are building some of the largest buildings the state has probably seen in a long time. Massive data farms. And while they can't necessarily tell us everything they're going to do, but they are going to give us a peek into what they are doing in Oklahoma. And finally, at the very end, we're going to have a first-of-its-kind robotics showcase where we're going to invite high schools, colleges, businesses that do anything in robotics to come and actually set up outside of the lunch hall and let people interact with these robots, including the Fab Lab. And all of this is just kind of it's all about technology in the end. So we're hoping that you would like to be a part of this. Later on this morning, they're going to come back and talk to you. I'm going to leave. I don't want you to have any pressure. I'm not going to stand in the back of the room kind of watching to see. But we would really like you to be there. We want your spirit of entrepreneurism to start off the showcase because a lot of the companies that are in the showcase were exactly where you are right now. I think that pretty much covers it. All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Cornell. For those of you who don't know, if this is your first time here, 1 Million Cups is across the nation. We are currently in 71 cities, and we are sponsored by the Kauffman Foundation, which helps us get this event, as well as TCC providing this lovely location. But our presenter today is actually a refill. He has previously presented. So if you would please welcome John with Topeca Coffee.
Good morning. My name is John, or Chip. I've been called both. Chip's my nickname. I was here almost a year ago and talked about some of the challenges I have as far as growth in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the state as a coffee roaster, as a specialty coffee roaster. And so today what I want to talk about is kind of some of the implementations of projects that I've had in order to grow over the last year. One of the main discussions I had last year was the fact of a statistic I always say that Oklahoma's population is smaller than the city of Dallas, and it's actually 2 million people smaller than the city of Dallas. And so included, my coffee is a very niche segment of the market. It's a higher priced coffee. And so my market is small. And there's only so much potential growth that I have in this state. And for me to be what I want to be, I need a volume of at least 200,000 to 300,000 pounds a year. And it's not that that necessarily isn't possible in this state, but it would be very difficult if this was my only consumer. And so the ways in which for me to grow over the last, projects I've implemented, one of the main ones was a lab. And so the SEA is the industry that I'm in. A certified lab, SEA is the only organization that has an accredited coffee training program, accredited by the same organizations that accredit universities. And they actually just this year announced that they're joining with the European version of the organization, the Specialty Coffee Association of Europe, and which also oversees the Middle East. And so the whole idea is around developing this accredited education program that whether I'm in the Middle East or Europe or anywhere in the Americas, if I have this piece of paper that shows that I went through this class and took the test and passed, then my employer or potential employer will actually understand what that means. If I have a barista level 1 certification or barista level 2 or level 3, then a coffee shop that I'm going to apply to will understand that I'm valued at X because this piece of paper says that I know what I'm talking about. Currently, when we first started opening or the development of the lab, there were only about 14 or 15 labs in the entire nation. Almost all of them were in the East and West Coast. At the time, right now, there's one in Kansas City that just opened up. There's one in Denver, Minneapolis. So there's not really a huge number being supplying the middle of America as well as just the entire United States in general. We just had our first class last week. We actually had people come all the way from China. There was a guy that came from China to take the class, believe it or not. My idea behind the lab was it's first class. I mean, we spent over $300,000 on the lab. And I wanted a facility that when people came, their expectation coming to a roaster in Tulsa, Oklahoma, obviously is set low, I think. The expectation of coming into Oklahoma, people are always thinking that they're going to see teepees and tumbleweeds. But we really made it our goal was we knew that we had a medium through the SCAA, which is a giant organization with a lot of credibility, that they were going to push us as they have been as a source for people to come and get certified. And it was our goal, I think. My desire was to fulfill my responsibility. And our responsibility, I felt, was to make sure that when they got here, that we gave them not only the best and met their expectations of what they were going to be receiving, but exceeded them. And my intention as far as the overall Topeca business was that once they come here and take classes, if we exceeded their expectations, then they would hopefully go back to their coffee shops and their roasters and want to buy our green bean or our roasted coffee. Just to summarize, at the end of the day, I've always really focused on trying to figure out ways to consistently provide exceptional service and product. I own Hodges Bend. I just went into a joint venture with 2 other people and opened up a tiki bar in Brady District called Saturn Room. And all of my projects that I have depend on people that are very well trained. And so part of the idea of the lab as well is that it's designed in a manner in which we can actually have a well for bartending training. We're developing an entire written and practical training program for all of our bartenders. We're currently implementing within all of within our coffee shops and wholesale customers, that everybody go through this whole process of being certified and not just learning on the job behind the bar. A lot of times what people do at our coffee shops and our bars is we put them back as bar backs, or they're just there to help. And then when it's slow, they kind of learn little by little. But the danger of that is that there's a potential for them learning on the customer. And it really, I think, is imperative, is creating the culture and the person and the understanding and setting the expectations before they get thrown into the environment. It's not cheap or easy, and so it's a big investment that we have made. But so far, it looks like everybody really has wanted to step up the game, their own game, and I'm really excited from the response so far. We filled about half the class last week, the barista level 1, and as of right now, we only have, I think, one more seat left in our roaster level 1 class next week. I think I have one more minute left, but I'd rather just talk and ask any questions, or respond to any questions. And
yeah, we'll pass the microphone around to anyone that has questions. Got this one.
So get our attention, and we'll get you lined up here, and so that we can talk into the mic and get it on video.
Good morning. I'm Albert Sells, Blues on the Green, and we are opening up a juke joint, an upscale blues nightclub. Would your coffee or your system, because we're going to have a barista bar, would your system work inside of a barista bar?
yeah, I mean, the equipment, from the very beginning, the first day that I started doing this, every single job that I have, I've done. I packaged, when I first started, I worked 120 hours for about 2 years, every week. When I got my first espresso machine, the first thing I did was I took it apart entirely, every single screw, and then put it back together. As I've grown, I realized obviously that I can't do everything, so I find people that are exceptional at each part, because it does take all the moving parts to be working correctly. We have someone that is specialized in water control quality. He does installs for Starbucks, believe it or not, at Target. Water control, the equipment, the barista training. We just got a new roaster that we ordered. It's going to come in next, hopefully this month, 13 months later. It's from Portugal. All those different stages, really, I've constantly will continue to invest in my people and my equipment in order to make sure that we can provide you with the best service and product. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really hard to do retail. It's really hard to do coffee consistently and exceptionally. And so we are set up in a manner to be able to help you do that consistently.
Okay, got a question right over here.
Hello. I guess 2 questions. First, the $300,000 seems like quite a lot, but I'm sure the lab was going to be spectacular. So the first question is, does the return come from the actual clients coming and paying for the courses, or does the return come from them going out, starting their own businesses, and then buying from you? And the second completely separate question is, are you worried that some of your clientele, some of the students that take your course actually set up shop in Oklahoma and then become your competitor?
I mean, that's definitely a risk. I am definitely in favor of everybody succeeding. I think we are in somewhat of a certain areas become saturated. So I was just talking about this before, was that alcohol and restaurants, if you think about it, are a destination spot. So someone will easily drive 15 minutes out of the way, which is 30 minutes there and back, in order to go to a restaurant or to, especially at night, or a bar. And Hodges Bend, when we opened, was in the middle of nowhere. But we slammed it from the very first day because it wasn't far enough away for people to go for a destination spot to stay there for an hour or 2 hours. Coffee is consumed during specific points of the day. And the exception of like a coffee house where people come and hang out, which I loved when I went to college, those are environments typically that don't necessarily make a lot of money. I've gone into many coffee shops, and they're packed shoulder to shoulder, and friends of mine that own coffee shops, and I'll ask them, I'll say, man, you guys are packed, and they'll show me their numbers, and they've literally done $10, $15 in the last hour, even though they're shoulder to shoulder full of people. Because coffee shops don't necessarily where you come and study, they just don't translating into dollars necessarily. And so I'm actually totally happy with the growth that we've had. I think it's been in my benefit that more and more shops are opening up in Oklahoma. In fact, my growth in Tulsa has been pretty small. For some reason, people, like I actually never intended to open up a retail coffee shop. My entire goal was to be just a wholesale coffee roaster, but there wasn't really a market that seemed to be wanting to open up a specialty coffee shop when I first started. And so we opened up our first one. But the growth has actually been in small towns. We have a shop in Poto and Tahlequah and Bartlesville, Edmond, Norman, Oklahoma City. The rest of Oklahoma actually has been our biggest growth over the last 12, 24 months.
Okay.
And then lastly is my hope for income is all. So the system is set up where they try to create a program and they're pushing us on their website, on the SCA website. We've gotten free publicity on Sprudge and on Coffee Talk and on all these other coffee media. And the prices of which we're required to get paid allow us for a reasonable income. Additionally, obviously, there's a back-end hope that a percentage of them come and are impressed and want to buy our coffee.
All right, we have a question in the back.
I love your stance on certification versus just training on the job, kind of maybe if they happen to learn it. And it sounds like you've been through this process several times now. So is there a general framework you follow when you're building your certification process? What's that look like? What's your workflow in creating the certification program? And then also, how are you providing feedback to the students, testing for understanding? What's your system?
So I've always been focused from the very beginning on training, but as a small business, you only have so much time, and I poorly executed it over and over and over again. And the lab actually is more of a result, as much a result of my desire to not reinvent the wheel as anything else. And so we're trying to also take those lessons learned right now in the development. We literally had our first meeting yesterday for the development of the program for our bartenders. And I have a meeting after this about the same thing. But it's hard to keep up because it's not even about creating a program. It's about curating a program and keep evolving it because the industry is always changing. And it seemed ridiculous to me to reinvent the wheel, and there was already an organization that was doing a phenomenal job, and so rather than reinvent the wheel, I just got involved a lot over the last 5-10 years in the SCA and getting certified with them and teaching classes, and I've had a lot of opportunities speaking Spanish and English to teach classes in Spanish, and that kind of helped me get in quicker than I probably could have otherwise. And I just really enjoyed their professionalism. They have a person that's on board that is done the whole accreditation process for them, which is very expensive and very time consuming, and shows. I mean, the quality of the time and money invested shows. It's a phenomenal program. We do have classes that are for coffee lovers. They're like $150, $250 for half day, and it's kind of like these 3-4 day courses, 8-hour-a-day courses crammed into a couple hours. But the regular barista courses, we've actually had, I think, one person sign up that's not in the industry. They just love coffee. They're not cheap. They're like $900 to $1,500 for 3 to 4 days. But that's my whole desire was to get help, because I'm not an educator in the sense of the level of what I wanted to provide to my employees and customers, and so I needed help. So.
All right, we have a question up here. You still have a question for us?
First of all, I love Topeca Coffee. I'm a huge fan. So congrats on all your success and everything. But so you have 2 Topeca coffee shops, right? And you have Topeca Coffee all over the state. The distribution of coffee beans and running a retail coffee shop like that, those are two very different business models. What's been your biggest struggle or learning experience in running two kind of separate aspects of a company in one company?
So we have a shop at the Mayo and a shop at the Hyatt, and then we have a bakery coffee shop on Cherry Street called Heirloom. We have Hodges Bend, which I started about 3 years ago, and then gave some options to one of my employees. And then we opened up just a bar that we're going to add I'm retrofitting a 40-foot container as a kitchen, and then we're going to plop it in next door and put in the lease ahead of time that would remain our property. The switch that I've had that I've really enjoyed, and it's been a challenge, but life is boring if you don't have any challenges. I mean, there's definitely a balance where I think over the last 5 years, there's been about 3 times where I flipped out, but I think my number one, I realized there was about a 6-month period before the opening of Saturn that was, I just kept repeating, I think my best quality is within what I contribute to the business is that I am pretty level-headed. I don't get stressed out very easily, and if you get stressed out, you start making bad decisions. I have switched my focus from maybe 2 to 3 years ago from micromanaging all the different employees, and instead of working with individual employees as much, I'm always saying hi and supporting them and taking a couple minutes to talk to them and listen to them, but my main energy is on the managers. And so if I focus and develop and pay and train and teach and support and everything that they need, the individual managers at each location, then they can do as good or better job than I ever could.
Okay, got a question right over here again.
Okay, John, where would I have to go myself and the 4 employees that I want to use for the barista bar? Mm-hmm. Where would we go for training?
So if you come after this, we're going to go do a tour of where you would go. We do a combination of training depending on the customer. Sometimes we'll go on site, and so they can practice in the environment where they're going to be serving. But the main goal of this lab is to separate someone from that environment where there's an additional level of stress and fear of someone that doesn't necessarily, like a lot of times you have a lot of vanilla new baristas that have never been a barista before, and so honestly my favorite people are those. I like training people that don't know anything but have nothing but passion and desire to learn. It's a lot easier to train someone like that than it is to retrain someone that already thinks they know everything.
Okay, so would you come in with the equipment, and because we have a specific design on our barista bar that we're trying to be really unique. So would you come in and look at our design and cater our specific needs on where to put our coffees? And do you have exotic coffees?
We would definitely sit down and spend time with you and go over your ideas and give you feedback, honest feedback, and try to make sure. I mean, it's in my benefit to relay and to share my 12, 13, I don't know how many years I've been doing this, since 2002, 13 years of experience of watching people succeed and fail, and because it's in my benefit that you succeed, obviously. It's in your benefit, but it's also in mine if you use our coffee. The equipment, we have a wide selection of equipment for scales and price. Every single one of them does a good job. There are some that have more bells and whistles and are prettier and do a better job, but everything we sell is a beautiful piece of equipment that works really well.
Okay, sounds like you guys need to have a meeting here, so let's move on here.
I think my question is, how will you, the lab, how do you scale this and incorporate it? I was going to use a word that I'm laughing synergistically with the rest of the other components that you have, because it does seem like it fits. But how do you scale this? I see what you're trying to do with it. Mm-hmm. Do you have a plan to incorporate like folks who have coffee shops already to sponsor their baristas to come and be certified as a head barista? Or?
No, it's open to anybody.
Okay.
Competitors, customers, whoever. Yeah, no, we can't. We do not want to, nor do I know that we can.
All right, we have a question in the back.
John, you mentioned the fact that you were transitioning from what you called a micro management style to managing through your managers. For a lot of growing companies, that is a major cultural impact for the owner or the manager. How did you handle that, and what were the challenges you had going through that cultural change?
You know, really, I just tried to stop swimming upstream, and I tried to continually identify, and I think it was more of a exponential growth than a linear growth necessarily, of me identifying what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. Yeah, I mean, everything so far has been really great. I mean, we have a lot of things that go wrong, and there are a lot of challenges, and we mess up, and but we get up and learn from our mistakes and try to do a better job the next time. I finally have someone that's in-house doing all our accounting, and I have someone in-house doing marketing. He's leaving, so I'm going to start looking for someone else probably this fall. And I'm not very good at marketing. I'm not. In my opinion, I should be able to put it in a brown bag and not put a label on it, and because it tastes better, people will come and buy it. But that's not the way it works. It's a lot about the glitter and the lights, and so I realized the need for a marketing person, for instance. And you know, it has been, and it continues to be, and will always be difficult. But I love what I do, so I think that's what makes it easy. I really enjoy working with people, and because I work in a segment that is probably 2 to 5% of the market, I'm going to get the top 2 to 5%. I get to work with the top 2 to 5% of the market. There was a pyramid that was on the internet yesterday that I shared on my Facebook that showed the total consumption of coffee, or production and consumption. It's the second largest traded commodity in the world, guys. And that's insane. It's only second to oil. And the overwhelming majority of it tastes like oil. So I really, really am I feel lucky. I get to work with great people.
Okay, we got a couple more questions to wrap this up so that we can get out of here early to go over to the field trip. So.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, you opened a wholesale coffee shop, were successful. You, a wholesaler and were successful. Then you opened coffee shops and were successful. Then you've opened kind of a mixed bar coffee shop, have been successful with that. So with all of those successes, how do you keep yourself from thinking that you're invincible? What steps are you taking to kind of keep that in check, to think, okay, I'm going to start a new thing and it's going to work because everything I've done has worked? Do you have a team around you, some advisors? Have you had some failures in the past that you can look back on and say, okay, you know, that drives me, I'm not doing that again? And not that I think you're a proud person, but that would just be kind of the natural tendency.
I've failed a lot, and I will continue to fail. There was a group of kids that came to the lab actually recently, and I said to them, they came from a TPS school by 6th in Peoria. I just told them that they have to be okay with failing. And the number one thing that they have to do actually is to take risk and fail. I'm naturally risk averse. That's probably what made my growth as a business person exponential. And it took a while for me to learn to not be as risk averse. You know, when we first opened the Mayo coffee shop, I think we did like $300 a day every day. I mean, it sucked. We called ourselves the Batman Cave because we had like all the scaffolding. We went in there before the arena was there, before the hotel was done. We had union workers yelling and spitting on us as we walked out because we were the only tenants in the building, and they were protesting against not using union contractors. You know, I mean, every project just about, you know, the roastery is still, the original loan I took out, I still pay out. I don't necessarily, until I pay all until I get to where I could step away, die, pass away, and everything continue on, I don't feel like I've succeeded. I mean, my goal is that I have a lot of people that really enjoy working with each other, and they get paid well to do it. But I do fear that if I did pass away, that it wouldn't necessarily be able to continue. And so my whole goal is, I think that this is a great company and a great asset for Tulsa, and I would really like to get it to the point where.
All right, we have one final question here.
Well, I have lots of questions for you. John, I kind of get a little shy because I think you're a local celebrity and I love you, so. But to wrap it up, I'd just like to say, I don't know if everyone knows, but I'm just very thankful for your support with 1 Million Cups and entrepreneurs locally.
Thank you.
You guys have been supporting this program and giving us free coffee since the beginning. And then also, I just love your outlook on competition and versus collaboration, you know, even just how you helped Foolish Things get started and have launched them, and they're a direct competitor, except not really. They buy your coffee and you've made them successful. And I think if we as entrepreneurs looked at that kind of model and started pushing for more collaboration, I think.
I love advice.
Love it. Okay, give him a hand.
Actually, I have directions coming. I thought of it. Awesome. So now, quick moment for announcements. We will have a field trip here in a little bit, which I will go over where that is. I actually made a little quick map for it. But our quick thing, if you have not gotten our email newsletter, you can send us an email to tulsa@1millioncups.com, and we'll get you on these wonderful email newsletters we have, a hidden joke in every single one of them. We almost promise. We also are looking for presenters, so if you have a startup or thinking of a startup, have something that is interesting and would be valuable to the community as a whole, we want to hear about it. You can go on to 1millioncups.com/Tulsa, and there's an apply to present. Just apply. We'll have the conversation. We'll see what that's about, and we'll see if we can get you fitted in here. If you have presented before, our call out again is we can get you to any other city, Fort Worth, Austin, any Kansas City, nearby places to spread the word, get you more of that opportunity to get in front of other entrepreneurs, investors, PR. So let us know. The Forge is our home. We love it. There are, I think, 2 office spaces open right now, so if you are looking for a place to call home, there's free coffee, free Diet Mountain Dew, and great company. So you can email Jessica at jessicaflint@thetulsachamber.com. If you have announcements, also send us an email for that. Tonight, Cultivate 918. So that is actually at the Forge, so if you're looking for office space, we'll have beers there. What better way to explore office space with beers? Show up over there. Cultivate 918 always throws on a great program, so I'm excited about that. Before continuing, so we had Cornell with OCAS this morning talk about this potential opportunity to move 1 Million Cups over to Broken Arrow at the NSU for this event that he's putting on. It sounded really cool to us as organizers. It sounded like our missions are very well aligned, but we are just facilitators of this program. This is your guys' program, so we wanted him to come up here and to explain it firsthand and to get kind of a gauge from you guys. If we moved 1 Million Cups on August 26th down to Broken Arrow to connect with this NSU program that they have. It'd be moving it to Broken Arrow at 8 a.m. till 9. And then they would give us a discount code. He didn't mention it, but I think it's $25 or $30 for the rest of the day, and that includes lunch and breakfast and everything else. Would you guys be interested in checking it out, hearing from other companies? Don't be shy. Okay, so 10, 15, it sounds like it'd be a good one. It'd be great for the opportunity just to get 1 Million Cups in front of other startups, other companies, other investors. So we're really excited about the prospect. We will start planning something like this, and you'll get it more in the announcements. If we can get him to give us a discount on it, so much the better. Okay, any other questions? Lastly, field trip. So it is about a mile and a half away. The easiest way to get to the Topeca lab is just take 10th Street up until you go through, I don't know what street that is. What, Peoria? Yes, you take Peoria just north of 244. So that would be the way we go. Again, this is 1 Million Cups. We do this every single week, 9 a.m., Wednesdays. Please bring a friend,